Hi, welcome to another episode of Marketing with Moxie. This week, we're going to share what we think are the top 3 trends in 2020 that marketers and sales teams should be paying attention to. We talk customer experience, building community, and even using AI. Plus, we give you ways that you can practically apply these trends in your own business. Ready to listen? Hi there, I'm Amanda Rosen.
And I'm Alex Rosen, and this is Marketing with Moxie,
a podcast about sales and digital marketing for business owners and marketers.
Twice a week, we'll share tips, tactics, and strategies designed to keep you relevant, visible, and profitable.
Let's get to this week's episode. Are you so excited for our first episode?
I am. Are you excited?
Yes, of course I am. I'm very excited. Let's talk about these top 3 trends for 2020 that marketers and sales teams need to be paying attention to.
So, Amanda, what is our trend number 1?
Our very first trend is putting an emphasis on customer experience in your business, which means personalization and being attuned to what your customers and your leads really need from you and your business. But before we really get into this trend, let's talk about what customer experience actually is. Customer experience is an integrated approach to business. It really defines the entire experience that a customer has, or an ideal client or a lead has with your business along the whole journey of them first meeting you, learning more about you, deciding whether or not they want to do business with you, and then what happens after the fact. So it's that entire span of basically everything from start to finish and beyond that happens in business.
So it's very much a relationship, just like you would have
in the real world. Yes. It's like a dating relationship for businesses and customers.
That is a good way to think of it. So I actually have a pretty good customer experience story to share. I had a friend who bought some shoes that were the wrong size via Zappos. And instead of having to send them back, with a return label, slap one of those on, go to UPS, they messaged him back very quickly and told him, no worries, we'll send you the exact correct size. And don't worry about sending back the other ones. You can keep them and donate them to charity. So that kind of hits at that altruistic level, that convenience level for sure.
Yes, exactly. But I think a common misconception is that people think customer experience is just customer service. And so the example that you provided is like a component of Zappos' overall customer experience.
Good point.
The rest of it would have been prior to that, like all of the website interactions that your friend had before they ordered, any kind of post follow-up after like the new return order came, or maybe even any marketing that he saw before he even got to the website, all of that stuff. All of it is customer experience. So when you're applying this trend, this focus on customer experience to your business, it really comes down to personalization and thinking about the needs that your customer or your ideal client has at every step of the journey. So in sales, like as you're having sales conversations with prospective customers or clients, a really good example of this is thinking about what are the words and phrases that they're saying that are telling you like what they're truly asking for, and ensuring that that conversation that you're having with them is providing value and is not you regurgitating scripts or pre-written sentences that you're supposed to say.
So this is my wheelhouse, basically. So consultative selling, for sure. And we'll do a whole episode on that at some point where that fits in. It's just good stuff. It's selling to the need instead of feature dumping. It's a core tenet at this grand concept that we have. It's the Richardson selling methodology. But in other words, it's asking open-ended questions, listening with intent for those needs, and then drawing a dotted line. And I kind of do this mentally to spotlight where your service can meet those needs that they stated.
So you can obviously implement this if you have sales calls that you're making, or you're even reaching out via email, you can ask guiding, open-ended questions to really utilize this. Or another way that you can take advantage of this is by implementing a live chat service on your website. This is a really easy way to do through Facebook Messenger. You can use an integration like ManyChat, or you can use actual software designed for live chat. Intercom and Zendesk are two that I like to use. And these are really easy ways that you can start capitalizing on expanding your customer experience while making room for this more personalized experience.
So I'm a big advocate of live chat for sure. I've used it a lot as a consumer. I was thinking back to when I was needing some assistance with hooking up my Jabra wireless headset that I use at work for taking calls, receiving calls, in terms of, hooking it into Bluetooth and audio, on my phone and, over my computer. And didn't have a lot of time to, sit on a phone and be on hold with customer service. So I went over to their live chat just on a whim, thinking, oh, maybe I might be able to quickly resolve it there. And sure enough, it was just really responsive. You get this quick back and forth. Usually there's a few kind of weeding out questions that kind of narrow you down to your need. Again, I think wherever you can incorporate that into the customer service side of things, it's very efficient and a good way to funnel for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can leverage it not just for customer service, but you can have automated chats, not necessarily live chats, on different pages of your website, depending on what your business is or what you do. For example, if you are maybe somebody like a photographer, or you sell your bakery and you have a page that's like a portfolio page or even a services page, you could have a little automated chat box that pops up and is encouraging people to ask questions about their event, and then you can funnel them information based on the type of specific event they're interested in, rather than just having them scroll endlessly through a page to find what they want to find. So that's really what it's about, is being in tune with how you can meet your customer's need, almost being like preemptively attuned to their needs, like that in touch with who your ideal client or customer is, that you know what they need when they come to you.
I think consumers are really just accustomed to typing things out just because everybody's texting these days. And I think that's just a symptom of the age we live in, where you have this Amazon instant gratification, people just responding back and, immediately and wanting a problem solved now. And live chat offers that ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And this also touches on another element of having options for your customer or clients to reach you in ways they're most comfortable with, because we are very comfortable with texting. I don't know about anyone listening, but I personally hate getting on the phone. As much as I can avoid getting on the phone, the better. So you can think about, in terms of your customer experience, other ways that you can offer help or improve customer experience by thinking about what are the platforms that your customer likes to communicate on. And what I mean by this is, maybe if you have a product-based business, you might want to consider being on Twitter. Many consumers go directly to Twitter when they have a problem and they're looking for your brand. And if they don't find your brand, they're still going to be talking about your brand. How many times have you gone to Twitter to seek out a brand and complain about something that went wrong, or simply ask a question? I think we see this a lot, even in the news, like with airlines, getting people talking about them on Twitter, tagging them in posts, that type of thing. Or if you're a service-based business, maybe your customer is mainly on Facebook. So you definitely want to have a Facebook page, and you want to have the ability for your potential customers or your actual customers to speak with you on your Facebook page. We've touched on how customer experience applies to sales and to customer service. But like I said at the very start, it's all encompassing. It's every aspect of your business. So if we're thinking about how does customer experience extend into marketing, it really extends into how you tailor your messaging and how you approach content creation and where you're placing that content, and ensuring that you have helpful, valuable, relatable content at every part of that journey that your ideal customer or prospective customer is experiencing, all the way to the point when they become your actual customer and beyond. Every piece of content should absolutely serve a purpose. You should not just create content just to have it. So you need to ask yourself that question as you are creating your strategy. Is it really serving the overall experience that I want this person to have as they move through the journey with me and hopefully become my customer? And if you need ideas on where to even begin with this type of approach to your content strategy, you could actually begin by looking at your most recent customers and sending them a quick survey email and just simply asking them, what did you like about your experience? What do you like about the product? And create content around that. You can also even ask them if they wouldn't mind to create their own content. This is called user-generated content. And when you share this type of content on social media or wherever, your blog, it really creates an added layer of authority and just kind of really beefs up your messaging and is a great way to round out your customer experience.
Yeah, I also advocate heavily for the surveying. I've done a lot with Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey. I think, so Facebook has some pretty good ways that you can actually conduct surveys, right?
You could run an ad to conduct a survey if you wanted to. They don't have a native survey. They have their own surveying, like they'll survey users themselves, but they don't offer the ability for you to survey people. But you could have a landing page with your survey on it, and you could run a really affordable ad for reach or traffic and send the ad out to people who you think are your ideal client or who are your current client.
Okay. Well, that leads to trend number 2.
No, it does not. There's one final thing to say about trend number 1 before we move on to trend 2.
She's always got one more thing to say. Let her have the final word.
Okay, my final word on trend 1 is that when you're thinking about customer experience, you need to frame it from the mindset of how are you building loyalty. That's the whole point of customer experience strategy. You are looking to build raving fans who become your brand ambassadors or people who are willing to refer you and tell everybody about you, and in some cases even get tattoos about you, like on their actual bodies, because they're so obsessed with your company and what you're doing.
That's a little extreme.
It happens. It definitely happens.
Get a Mountain Dew tattoo.
Volkswagen is a really great example of this.
Volkswagen?
Yes, people get Volkswagen tattoos because they're just so obsessed with the brand. But customer experience is really how this all begins. So if you want people to get a tattoo of you, Alex, then you need to start thinking about your customer experience strategy.
Duly noted. Can I say the next one?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to use my voice. Trend number 2. Make feedback easy and welcome.
Yes, so this goes along with a trend that we're not really highlighting because it's not really going to be a trend. It's just sort of the state of things. It's that millennials are one of the largest groups of people online right now, which means they have a lot of buying power. And the way that they decide how they're going to buy, or one of the ways, is by reading reviews and hearing what other people have to say.
So for sure, like my first filter when I'm on Amazon looking at a product like an electric shaver from a bald head is the average customer review star rating. And let me tell you, if it ain't 4 stars and up, you are not in my short list. And you can go straight to the digital abyss. My next filter is if it's, Amazon Prime available, because I am quite impatient and I want things now. So I guess I quite exemplify the millennial mindset, right?
Yes, you're the perfect example. You're the perfect millennial. Congratulations.
But I'm an elder millennial. Right?
Right, we both are because we're in the early part of millennialism.
Yeah. So my product reviews on Amazon are just a little more crotchety.
That's how you distinguish yourself.
That's how you know.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. And that's what I do too. When I am going to buy anything, I don't even read the description. I zoom on down to read the reviews because I want to know what real people have to say about the product and not just what the company has to say. So if you're working on tightening up your customer experience because you are just so thrilled with the first trend and you want to jump on it, this actually works along really well with that because it's kind of how you take care of the post-purchase experience while also pulling in new people who are visiting your website. We just talked about user-generated content, and this is another example of types of reviews or forms of referrals. Another word for this is social proof, which is basically people posting voluntarily on their social channels and tagging you in that post and spreading the word about how much they appreciate or love what it is that you're doing. These play into the whole retention and referral part of customer journey, and so they obviously fit into customer experience. And they are really integral to your overall business strategy, because without this, then you really kind of have a huge gap in how you're promoting yourself online. So if you want some ideas on how you can take advantage of this trend, I have a couple really quick and easy ones that you can do. The first one is you can leverage your existing email service provider and set up an automation sequence that's timed out based on how long it takes for the customer to receive your product and then use it if you're selling a physical product, or if you're selling a service or an intangible product, you could time it based around the length of time it takes for them to receive the service from you and experience a result.
So we actually do this at my job, where when courseware is adopted, we do these check-ins at the beginning, the middle, the end, re-implementation, and it's kind of a cyclical process just to make sure that everything's going good. So, Amanda, can you build out a whole sequence to like time release at intervals, and what do you actually specifically use for that?
Yes. The good news is this is no longer a premium or new feature. There was a time in digital marketing where automation was really new and people weren't as familiar with it, and so they didn't ask for it as much. But now, pretty much every email provider offers some form of a triggered automation sequence, and usually you can have more than one based on how robust the tool is that you're using. So some of my most favorite tools that I think do the best at this are ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, and to an extent MailChimp, though there are some limitations there with MailChimp. But if you don't have an email platform right now, or you don't want to pay for one quite yet, MailChimp is a good option. And actually ConvertKit has recently added a free version as well that you can try. And the way that you set this up is you have triggers based on behavior. So your trigger would look like when a customer makes a purchase, because I should back up and say that the whole reason that this works is because the tools that you're using are all integrated together. So if you have a tool that you're using to sell your products, you need to ensure that that tool integrates with whatever email provider you're using. Or if you're using something like HubSpot where it's all in one, you obviously don't have to worry about this. So the way that you set up the automation is you have a trigger based on a behavior. So maybe they've made a purchase. Then you can set a time delay. So let's just use a product purchase as an example. So if you know that it takes your product on average 3 days to arrive at your customer's doorstep, and then you know it takes them about a week before they actually try it and use it, you could set a time delay of 10 or even 11 days where an email is then automatically sent to them that says something like, "Hi, I hope you're enjoying your blah," and replace blah with the name of your product. "I'd love for you to share your feedback. You can post a review on Instagram and be sure to tag us," or however you choose to word it. Whatever you do, make sure that you provide clear instructions with an expectation of what you want them to do to make it as easy on them as possible. Provide all the information that they need, including your handles on social media that they need to tag you in, any hashtags you'd like them to use, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the Black Tux, that tuxedo rental service that I had to use for the wedding I went to recently, they sent me one like the second they pretty much knew when I got the suit, and then an email automatically came in to check in to make sure everything was fitting and everything like that. So
exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's another great example of another way you can use email automation to improve your customer experience, is by all those different points in the journey. Another example, if you don't want to use email automation, or if you're a service provider, like you are a plumber or an HVAC company, or you're a pest control company, you can use an SMS messaging service. And once your service provider has left the client's home, they can get an automated text message directly to their phone that asks, were you happy with your service? If so, leave us a review on Google. And it's a one-click review. They just tap the link in the SMS message. It populates the Google review page, and then they can select the star level, and they can type if they want, but they don't have to, and it's done. This is super easy and a very quick way for you to build reviews up online. And then one final way that you could start building reviews is by using bots, which we've talked a little bit about this already, but you can integrate AI into this process by firing bots after your customer has gotten their product or after they've completed a service with you. I guess my point is that you just need to keep in mind that once your product or your service is out there and your customer or client has your hands on it, it doesn't just belong to you anymore. It becomes as much your customers or clients as yours, which means encouraging feedback, hearing reviews, even actively looking for reviews and conversations about your product or your service online through social listening tools should just become a natural part of your process with your customer experience strategy. Because these conversations are happening whether you're a part of them or not, so you definitely want to be a part of them. Not because you want to control them, but because you want to know what's going on and you want to encourage it, you want to contribute to it, you want to learn from it, and you want to share it when it makes sense, because this is how you build a community of raving fans.
You remember those Listen Up headphones, that infomercial where the guy was being creepy at the gym and listening to the women across the room? Is this kind of like that?
No, it's not like that.
Not like that at all.
It's not listening in on private conversations.
But seriously, what are they specifically pulling? Like the social listening tools that you're talking about?
So they're really only tracking mentions or hashtags or specific phrases or words. So a business could use a social listening tool like Buffer or Hootsuite, or even just Google Alerts to track their own business activities, like when customers are talking about them, or even their competitors if they're curious about what their potential customers are saying about their competitors. So it's just another form of research.
Well, that brings us to our third and final trend for the day, which is future thinking, or investing in future thinking strategies or technologies that keep you moving forward.
Yes, which are decisions that you make as a business owner or a marketer based on all the data you've just collected through all of the customer experience work you're doing, your reviews, all the analytics you track at every point of the customer's journey, all of it. And then thinking toward the future based on this present, real, active data, not just historical data. For example, if you notice shifts in how your content is being consumed online, for example, less blogs, maybe more podcast, or less comments on Instagram posts, more views and stories, that you would think about how can you leverage that moving forward.
Yeah, so in my work, we noted the rising costs of texts and resources being a detriment to our own sales via like the used text market, people sharing text. And it was kind of a detriment to consumers, who did purchase content at ridiculous costs. So we had to disrupt ourselves and the industry by going, not only the digital route, which everybody's going in a lot of different ways. Ebooks are a lot cheaper than printing and shipping physical books, but also offering a subscription service. So nothing in this is particularly innovative. If you look at Netflix, Adobe Creative Cloud, Spotify, all of these things, Netflix moved away from discs to streaming and then offered it as a subscription. It's pretty much the same idea. And the reason for this commonality is the value proposition that has been found by the modern consumers, of all those services that I just mentioned and, the one at the company I work for. Why pay for individual components when you can have it all for just the length of time that you need it? So that particular model isn't a fit for every service and industry still, but the main thing is listening to the customers. We had to listen to the customers. We had to notice what the trends were and, course correct, be bold enough to make a change, if need be, based on that feedback. And sometimes you have to invest in the future to move beyond the stagnation of the past.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I really love this, because it enables you to be agile. It enables you to really just consider how can you form your business strategy around what's going to work best for your customer, which is naturally going to move your business forward. Another example of this is the trend right now of consumers taking conversations off public platforms and into a more private environment. You probably even see this in your own life as a consumer. You are having more conversations on Facebook Messenger. Maybe conversations that you even used to have on email, you're now having on Facebook Messenger, or you're having them in apps like Voxer or WhatsApp or Instagram DMs, all that type of thing. So paying attention to that, many of us are moving, sharing content and ideas and conversations to all of those places.
So is that to really create and foster like community around the service and around the product or the ideas around that?
Well, it's not to say that I think that marketers or salespeople need to be going into people's DMs and selling them or marketing to them. It's more that we need to be aware as marketers and salespeople that many of these conversations about our services and our products are happening privately. And how can we contribute to that conversation without being creepy? And the way that you do that is by curating that content, making it very shareable, making it very relevant, and then having tools set up to engage when it makes sense, which goes back to the bots, or it goes back to inviting that feedback.
So should we be scared of bots? You know, when would it make sense to actually use like Facebook Messenger or Intercom bots on a site?
So that's a really good question. When would you want to use Facebook Messenger or a service like Intercom, which is basically a script that you load on your site that launches a bot? There's a few different ways you might want to use it, but it really depends on, again, who your customer is and what their needs are, and would they make use of a bot. If they're not going to be, if they don't need a bot, you don't need a bot. So again, really being attuned to your customer's need, analyzing that data that you're seeing as you are expanding your customer experience strategy. But one example is if someone lands on your page, your Facebook page to be clear, and sends you a message, which by the way, a bot never proactively messages you.
They're not self-aware.
Not yet. You can have an automated series of messages that are triggered. And currently, right now with Facebook Messenger, you can do this for free for up to 24 hours, and then you have one extra message you can send. Facebook is about to sort of change how messaging is structured because they are really aware that people's messages are private and they don't want marketers and salespeople to have regular access unless it falls under specific parameters. So a lot of this is about to change, which will have to be an episode for another time. But an example right now of a very simple bot sequence that could help enhance communication and could meet your customer where they are is by having your bot say, "Hi, how can I help you?" And then having a few different options, one of which is like, "I need to track my product," or "I have a question about my delivery," or "something went wrong with my order." And then depending on what they select, they get a different message, or in some cases, maybe they just go directly to a customer service representative. So really the bottom line here is just putting some thought into how you deploy your bots.
But death bots you should deploy liberally, like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog, topical reference.
No.
Score 1 point for me.
No.
My contribution to this.
Okay, first of all, marketers should never deploy death bots, nor should salespeople.
Even to take out the competition?
No, I don't think they should do that. There's better ways.
Okay. Well, we can look at that.
Okay, another episode for another time.
Another episode.
All right, this takes us back really full circle. I mean, we've been saying it over and over again to think about your customer, your ideal client. How do they operate online? How can you provide value to their journey as they meet you, they get to know you, they like you, they want to buy whatever it is that you're selling, they become your raving fan, they refer you to everybody they know, and on and on and on. And that's through these trends. It's through capitalizing on customer experience strategy. It's through thinking about how you can invite that feedback, get reviews out there, get the social proof and the testimonials that you need, and thinking about the future and how you can leverage technology or tactics to really give yourself an edge. And that pretty much wraps it up.
We want to thank you for listening and ask if you really enjoyed this episode to subscribe and leave a review.
See, we're inviting feedback. We want your reviews, and you can tag us on social media. We are on both Facebook and Instagram as @MarketingWithMoxie, and we'd love to hear from you.
Have a great day.